my name is Elaine Kung. I have been sharing with you my story in the last 2 sessions, how I started from a very poor family, couldn't afford elementary school tuition, and then to where I am today. Finished my graduate school and undergraduate from Cornell and Princeton, and worked for AT&T for 33 years. So I'll continue my story, how I worked for AT&T. So remember that we have talked so far about the 5 steps of knowing God's will. How do I make decisions, knowing what major to take on, what school to go to, what company to apply for, and what career do I pursue? And of course, when we know the 5P model, including all the different seminars like the youth camp on Zoom, they are part of the 5P to help us to understand what our passion, what's our people relationship, what's our performance. So we'll come back and talk about the 5P, and I have a surprise for you. And then we ended last week at SWOT. So some of you were so eager to say, are we going to cover the SWOT? Yes, we're going to cover the SWOT. So these topics are all from the August course. And what I shared with you on the camp was just very brief, a description. And in the course, we'll go deeper and just highlighting what we cover, so that this course in August really help you to understand exactly what work is about and how do I define my work, some framework that I share with you here in the camp. So we talked about how important it is to seek first his kingdom and his righteousness. So throughout my college study at Cornell, very high pressure, very intensive, I keep practicing Matthew 6:33. No matter how busy I was and how many exams coming up, I set apart time, like you are setting apart time for youth camp on Zoom. I set apart time for my devotion, my time with God, for fellowship, for church, that I don't just give up those things because, oh, I have an exam. So that's important to seek first what's important in his kingdom. So the word seek and the word ASK is very special because it's the only acrostic I can find in the Bible. Ask, seek, and knock from Matthew 7:7. And I remind us of this because I want to share this poem with you. This is the first poem and the first poster I spent money to buy in college. This poem really encouraged me, inspired me, and challenged me to live a life of difference. So often, let me, if I can ask a student to read for me. Last time, we have Ruth and Sunny. Would you be willing to read this poem for me? Either Ruth or Sunny? Thank you, Sunny. Go ahead, please. My neighbor in San Diego, please.
Difference. I got up early one morning and rushed right into the day. I had so much to accomplish that I didn't have time to pray. Problems just tumbled about me, and heavier came each task. Why doesn't God help me? I wondered. He said, but you didn't ask. I want to see joy and beauty, but the day turned on, green, gray, and bleak. I wondered why God didn't show me, he said, but you didn't seek. I tried to come into God's presence. I used all my key at the lock. God gently and lovingly showed it. My children, using a knock. I woke up early this morning and paused before entering the day. I had so much to accomplish that I had to take time to pray.
Wow, thank you so much, Sunny. You really brought sun and sunshine into our class, and that's why I continue to wear the yellow today. So you see the ASK, you see the difference of a life. Do you want to go rush into school, rush into summer camp, rush into something without talking to God? I talked to God this morning before coming. Did you ask him? Did you seek him? Did you knock him? Or did you just knock on the door? Or did you just rush and get into the gray and the bleak? So I encourage you to take this poem, hopefully maybe your first poem, like it was for me, to encourage and challenge me to live a life that's a difference. So that really made an impact on me for college study, for graduate study, and for my work and my family, knowing that everything I do, I want to ask, seek, and knock. So last week we talked about the 5P. I won't cover it again, but I want to share just to offer a surprise for you and a prize for you, where I'm going to have this email to you in your email. So hopefully all of you registered. If not, make sure you put in your email to me privately, and that you'll have this template. And I have these questions to remind you each of the 5P and these qualities for each of the 5P. And I'll include this example for you. Like this student, when she was 9th grade and going into 10th grade, I encourage you to write your own 5P, whatever grade you are going into in September. Make it your 2022 to 2023 school year 5P, to think through what's your purpose, principle, passion, people, and performance. Be very specific. Then when you set, and then she even did the 10 years later. This is bonus. You don't have to do it, but if you want to, feel free. That's extra bonus. So when you do this, here's the pleasant surprise and the prize. You do it this week, pray about it, talk to your parents. When you can finish it and email it to me in this email address, you can get any one or some of these awards. May not be all, but based on your submission. You can get one-on-one session with me. You may even get a free registration to the August course on the 4th Sunday afternoon time, Rise and Shine. Go in depth of all these that I'm sharing highlights with you. And that you may even be invited to do a 10-minute interview and interaction with me during the course. So these are the bonus. So this PowerPoint will be sent to you and the template. So I'm excited to offer this to you. And ultimately, the best blessing is that you actually have a completed 5P to guide your next school year, which is very exciting. That you would not lose track, you know exactly your 5P and how to stay focused. And then next, I'm going to share the SWOT. And I encourage you to also do the SWOT and send to me. This one is going to be a lifelong benefit, because once you do the SWOT, and when you do it, not just your own perspective, you can also ask your family and your friends. You get to learn about who you are and what others think about who you are and how you're going to grow. So this is a course flyer. I share this and it's been emailed to you as well. The July 31st talk is actually free, open to all. You still need to register to get to Zoom. The topic is from getting a job to excelling at work. So it covers from the beginning, cradle to grave, so to speak, the whole work journey, the skills for interviews and performance review. So very practical. And then the one on the right is the overall course for the 4th Sunday. So here is the SWOT. SWOT is very common tool that corporations and organizations and institutes will use to analyze what is the SWOT for this team, SWOT for the product or service. I use the SWOT for my own personal assessment. So I share with you, and all my students who take my course involved with the SWOT, they would complete their SWOT, and it has helped them so much. The SWOT help you to understand what are your strengths. Anything you're going to do, studying, working, serving, always think what your strengths are and try to lead with your strength. You serve, you study, you work using your strength, because that's how God has gifted you, designed you, equipped you. That's how you enjoy the most, because you're using what you love to do, what you're good at doing, and that you can contribute using your strength, your skills, your talent. So this student, as an example, strengths are analytical and critical thinking. That's extremely valuable. Problem solving. These will always take you to places. So these are good skills to develop as well. And these are her strengths, which is wonderful. Being responsible, trustworthy, result-driven, self-disciplined, also positive. These are desirable. Detail-oriented, thorough, curious, always asking questions and learning more, determined, perseverance. Wow. This student really have a strong set of valuable strengths. So think about what your strengths are. Ask yourself, ask your family, ask your friends, and start to jot these down. These will take you a long way. You're going to use this for your rest of your life. Because when I do interview for college applicants on behalf of Cornell and Princeton for the last 22 years, when I interview people applying to work in my company, in my group, we always ask, tell me about yourself. What are your strengths? And I'll tell you a story approach, how you tell people about your strengths. So be ready to put these down so that you're ready to talk about your strengths in any situation. So think hard what your strengths are, and you feel good about knowing your strength. Because when I worked for 33 years, I have 19 bosses. And there was only one boss who spent 1 whole hour with me talking about my strength. I was so thankful. I was so blessed to spend that 1 hour with my boss. She was talking about how good my strengths are, how can we be sure to use the strength in the project, and how to even quote unquote perfect my strength. So I was so encouraged. So for those parents who may be here with our children and teenagers, I encourage us parents to talk about your strength with the children. Talk about the children's strength and using this tool as a family. And that's what our August course is going to do. And do this with as a family. So you have the same tool, same communication channel and platform to get to know each other. Then the weakness is obvious. All of us are not perfect. God has designed us exactly the way we are. We have our shortcomings, and that's okay. And we need to know what they are so they're not blind spots. We need to be humble to listen to each other and what others think that our weaknesses are, and be open-minded. Some of you may agree, some of you may not agree. Don't get defensive. Listen, take notes, and pray about it. And things that you may not agree and that they may be biased or they may misunderstand, then you can explain and you can show your action, right? Your action is louder than words. And let your action demonstrate if indeed this may not be your weakness. And indeed, if it is yours, that's okay, right? Acknowledge it, accept it, and then grow from it. Recently, I'm working with a mentee on some work challenges, and they realized some of the weakness, and they came to become so humble and really acknowledge, while it's painful and disappointing to learn and discover these weakness in some work challenges, and yet they recognize, wow, yes, that's something they need to learn. And it was so encouraging to see that humble attitude and realize the weakness, and not to beat yourself up and say, oh, I'm so bad. I'm, self-accusing myself and admonishing and just beat myself up and put myself down. No, that's not the intention. The intention is being confident and know that we are Christian and we are children of God. Our identity in Christ, we are the beloved children. Yes, I have this area I need to grow and have an open mind. And then O is the opportunities. Think of all these new things you can learn, whether soft skill or hard skill, whether intellectual, emotional, or spiritual. So I'm not going to read through each one. And you can see this student really put very good thought into the SWOT, each one of these. And then T is the threat. Threat are the weakness when you interact with the outside world that you may even not be aware of. These are some blind spots where you interact with the outside world that you tend to be controlling, lack of confidence, insecure, or self-centered. So this student realized the threats are the weakness working with the outside world versus the top or the weakness of your own style of working. So they seem similar, but the top is internal and the bottom threat are the external interaction with other people in the outside world. And some may even be blind spot. So start thinking about this week, work on it and email it to me and be one of those who may get these prize and rewards. And this will help you for a long way. Once you have the SWOT, then you can think about the right priority, which one is the top, bottom, or medium. And then you would think about action plan for each one of them. For the strength, your top strength, are you using it? How can you find more opportunity to use it? W, weakness, the top one. What action plan do I have to work on it and grow and accept that and have confidence in God to help me grow? And the opportunity, what top priority that you want to learn, opportunity to grow further, to build more of your new strength. And then threat, as you listen to your family and friends to tell you what may be your blind spot. And then once you have your tool, then this will become a lifelong journey. And I use this with my boss. And 1 year he said, oh, Elaine, you have this blind spot. You didn't pay attention to what the audience thinks, and you just kept going. And that's a fatal flaw. Wow, fatal flaw is really bad. So I pray, I ask my family to pray for me, pray with me. I study the Bible. I pray throughout my work how to reaction and response. So I learned those few months to be more God aware, self-aware, and others aware. And then 6 months later, we went through it with my boss again. And he said, whoa, Elaine, this is no longer your fatal flaw. You are now more aware of your audience. So that's an example. I couldn't say enough about the benefit of the SWOT tool. So I really encourage you, think about it, work on it. If you can email it to me, you could be one of those chosen to receive the reward and the prize. So when you know your strength or your weakness, when you're in an interview, how do you tell a story and give an example to the people you meet with? Not a long, lengthy story, but just 1 minute or 2 minutes to demonstrate your strength in the format of SWOT: situation, obstacle, action, and result. Like in Isaiah 40:31, that we will soar on wings like eagles. Wouldn't you like to soar? I really like this word. So let me give you some example. How do you go through the SWOT story in a very short time? And it takes work to go through an example of your experience and write down the framework of the SWOT, and I'll show you that in the next slide. And I suggest everyone to write at least 3 SWOT stories, even at your young age. Think about your intelligent quotient, and I'll give you example for each one. Emotional quotient and adversity quotient. Include why you're in that situation, what's the situation, and how did you take action, and how much result and impact did you make? You would say, that's impossible. How can you cram in so much in a minute or 2? Here we go. Let me explain and try this for you. So this is the template, and I'll share a story for IQ. You can time me. So for those who time me, speak up when I finish. Tell me how long it took, okay? So go ahead and time me. I'm a fast learner. I enjoy learning new things and solving problems. One time, my teacher asked me to use a tool that I've never learned before. So I took the initiative to study online for 3 weeks and ask experts. Usually, this tool would take a 13-week course. But after my 3-week study, I learned the tool. Then I helped my school project team to use this tool. And we finished the project and we got an A. How long was that? Who did the timing? How long was it?
2 minutes.
How long? How long was it? It should be less than a minute. So you heard the story.
32 seconds.
32 seconds. That's it. Thank you. Who was that?
It's,
Matthew.
Matthew, thank you. Matthew, very good attention. 32 seconds. Did you hear the situation that our school requires the tool, right? The obstacle, I never learned it. It usually would take 13 weeks. But the action, I took the initiative to learn and it only took 3 weeks. So you hear numbers, you need to demonstrate the situation, the before challenge and the after. And you know the difference because of your action. And then the result, I helped the project team and work on the project using the tool and finish and got an A. So I start with describing what my strength is on IQ, first learner. So let me give you an EQ example. Start with the statement. I am a people person. I enjoy working with others and helping the team to be successful. One time, I joined a new group and there was a coworker who tended to be a little bit difficult to get along. I didn't give up. I always greet her, will offer help when she needed. Then we became friends. And then we worked on a project together and we wrote a paper and presented at a conference and we got an award. How long was that? Matthew, did you time?
Less than 1 minute.
Huh?
Less than 1 minute.
Less than a minute. So it's right about
30 seconds.
30 seconds. Isn't that short story? And yet tell you a lot about the person's strength, the situation, obstacle, action, result. And I show you the change, the before and after. The before was a coworker, and you don't want to be mean. You say they seem to be. You say, oh, they're really mean. You don't want to say that, right? They seem to be a little bit difficult to get along. And the after, right? Because of the action, I didn't give up. I greet her and offer help when she needed. And then the difference and the result is that we became friends and worked on the project together and wrote a paper. So you have a compare and contrast. So think of your source story, especially those who apply for college next year, for those rising senior. If you apply for schools like Cornell, Princeton, and other schools that require interview, this is very important. And I also can help you in our one-on-one when you send your SWOT and your 5P, and we can do one-on-one and do mock interview for the time that you want to spend with me. So finally, this is the AQ example, adversity quotient. When you have challenges, adversity, how can you build up your quotient? So here we go. Please time me and see how long it takes. And this is a very complex story. When the student told me about it, and this is an adult, and she took 30 minutes, almost an hour to go through all the detail. So we identify the key points. You don't need to go into the details. Some people don't need to know all your detail. They don't have a whole hour to hear your whole one story. You only have 2 minutes at the most. So here we go. I'm good at executing complex projects with excellence. I enjoy working with team collaboration on time and on budget. One time I took over a complex auditing project without proper handoff from the last owner. I was challenged to complete this transition in 14 business days instead of the usual 2 months. Wow, really difficult. So I put together a cross-functional team. I established clear team goals as a team in our discussion, and we worked very diligently with a focused effort. As a result, we finished it in 10 business days, 4 days ahead of schedule. Okay, how long was this?
It was like
35 seconds.
Say again?
1 minute, 5 seconds.
1 minute, 5 seconds. This is a little bit longer.
45 seconds.
Oh, 45 seconds. Okay, we have a different clock. So it's about still less than a minute, right? Did you learn a lot from this story?
Yes.
So you get the idea how important source story is, and don't give them detail, because the students started to give me a lot of detail what they did. You need to bring it up a level and tell them what is the impact, what matters to the audience. So that's enough for the tools. And I have learned this over my decades of experience, and it takes time. So I really am excited that if you can come up with your own source story and tell me any one of these, that's extra bonus. And then we can work on it during our one-on-one time. So remember my 33-year career in AT&T, I had many different jobs. So when you decide what major to study in college, remember, it's really basic learning. It doesn't necessarily determine the rest of your life. So your initial major really equip and build up your skill from what you are interested in, what you pursue. And of course, in college, you take all the basic college courses as well. And then with a major to help you focus on a particular concentration. And yet, schooling really just help you to study, help you to learn, help you to build relationship with people, help you to solve problems, help you to ask questions. All of these are basic skills. So there's so many friends and college schoolmates in my school that they may study engineering in undergraduate, then they end up going to law school or medical school. So people can change. And to be honest, in my company, many of those very successful executives, they didn't even study telecommunication. Since it's a telecommunication company, they even may study English or history or liberal arts. And yet they are very good in critical thinking, asking questions, and communication and solving problems. Those are valuable soft skills. Remember I shared with you the formula last week, the X% and the Y%. So those are transferable skills that you can bring into the new job. And then you have new skill you can learn. Could be soft skill or hard skill. So as you look at my 33 years, I had 16 jobs. I did all types of technology. Even though I studied electrical engineering and material science, I ended up doing business and product marketing. Something I didn't learn directly from my undergraduate study is what I learned throughout the years when AT&T sent me to executive education or leadership training or learn from the job. So it's about being a fast learner and being curious to learn new things. So think through those. And when you listen to the different career examples, when we have future new speaker, and you can get an idea, what is that job about? And have an idea to prepare for your future. So then fast forward, I retired very soon. So that we start with the 30-year service anniversary. You know how I love acrostic. So my boss used my name to come up with an acrostic because I create acrostic for my coworkers for their birthday, for their work service anniversary. So then when I celebrated my 30th, my boss gave me this acrostic. So can I ask someone to read for me? Who would like to read this? You can open your mic and read this. E? Yeah, I couldn't see your name. You go ahead and open your mic. I see a hand raised. Go ahead.
E, enthusiasm for my work. L, love of people. A, always working to find new ways. And I, intelligence drives my decision making. N, no is not in my vocabulary. E, endless commitment to mentoring.
Wow, thank you. What's your name and your grade?
Ruth.
Ruth, and you're sixth grade, right?
Yeah, Ruth, sixth grade.
Thank you. So proud of you. Thank you for reading that. And you read it well, not easy for sixth grade. Yeah, so my boss saw my qualities, my personal brand as this Elaine. And these, you may think that, oh, this is someone from church. So doesn't matter if you're at church, at home, or at work, we should have the same brand, the same qualities, the same strength to demonstrate. So these are indeed my qualities. And I'm so thankful that my boss was so observant and blessed me with this acrostic. And then when I retired, with the many guests that we invited, and my family joined me. And this is the very top floor of our AT&T World Headquarters in Dallas, where Uncle Ming lives. And that's when I met Uncle Ming when I moved to Dallas and worked there for 5 years. We had this big retirement party, and that my boss invited 100 people to come. And all 100 people, he asked them to write a full acrostic for me. So I have a whole book of the Elaine Kung acrostic. Who would like to read for us this time? This is shorter. It's a longer list of names of 10 phrases, but it's shorter words. Go ahead and open up your mic.
Ethan.
Ethan, go ahead, Ethan.
Wait, should I read the whole thing? Okay. E, electric personality. Live. A,
Live.
live authentically. A, always persevere. I, irreplaceable and never be forgotten. E, eternally optimistic. K, kinetic force of nature. U, uniquely spiritual and natural leader. G, grew through adversity.
Thank you, Ethan. What grade are you?
7th grade.
7th grade. We have young people shining among us. Thank you. So this is the boss who's standing between my husband and me. And he's a rising star in the company. He's the one who planned this whole retirement party. Of course, you asking his team to help him. And this is the Elaine Kung 10 qualities he wrote about me. And he's also the one, he's my last boss before I retire. And it's the last job that I took on, which was a job that no one wants to take. It's a very difficult job. It's a leading edge technology called software-defined network. It's no longer hardware configuration. We use software to define networks. Change the network, leading edge technology a few years ago. And no one wants to do this project. And so he actually knew about my strength and my personal brand. So he tried to hire me for 3 years, he said. And finally, he got me to do this project that no one wants to do. And you'll see his writing about my retirement later on as well. And he's so thankful that I took on this project. Every morning he woke up and said, thank God Elaine is leading this project, because he knows my strength is solving difficult problems, leading complex projects with the team. So in that work, my last job, most difficult, that no one wants to take, we pray. In that job, we solved some big technology and production issues. And the team got 3 awards and 3 recognition. Praise God. So this is how he saw my brand. So I got 100 of these acrostic in a memory book that I'll show you later. So I wrote this thank you email to all the guests invited to my retirement party. May I have another student? Is there any junior or senior? Let's give a chance to the older student to read for us. Uncle Ming, can you help me call someone to read this? I wrote this email to all the guests. Okay, go ahead, Ruth. Go ahead and read. AT&T rocks.
A, awesome friendship and teamwork. T, together everyone accomplishes most. And T, touching speeches and reflections, give God the glory. R, remarkable celebrations filled with pleasant surprises, acrostic poems. O, outstanding gifts, video, pictures, 5P blessing frame, memory books, cards, flowers, cake, etc. C, Cloud 9 experience in partnership with you, the team. K, keepsake memories of treasured forever. S, surreal conclusion of 33 years rewarding experience at AT&T.
Thank you, Ruth. She's a 6th grader. Give her a hand. So this is my thank you email, part of it, to thank all the 100 guests invited. And these are just brief memories of what they've done. So when I retired, in addition to the acrostic, many people wrote comments in the memory book. And they have actually produced a very nice book, which I'll show you later. So this person is now the new CEO of AT&T, Mr. John Stankey. He was my mentor for a short time, and he's among the very few mentors who would respond very quickly to my email and also wrote very long email to address my questions. So I'm very encouraged and thankful for this relationship and his support. And then the retirement comment he wrote was also the longest. We're not going to read through all these, and you can just glance through it. And he is not a Christian, and yet I did share the gospel with him. We'll keep praying for him. And especially we want to pray for our boss, pray for our leaders. So like you can pray for your parents and pray for your teachers, pray for your school principal, because they are your leaders to guide us. So he knows that I have a person with strong faith, have a positive outlook on life, and that the last 33 years is fulfilling and rewarding. And now on the other side, continue to be fulfilling and rewarding. And he's so right. My retirement or refinement in the last 4.5 years has been very fulfilling and rewarding. And in the company made a significant impact, and the company and those around me. And then this page 2, he wrote such heartfelt and thoughtful comments, and that now I'm making a new mark in life, equally significant and meaningful. And thank you for my tireless commitment to AT&T, and he personally appreciates my tireless commitment. Wow, that was so encouraging. And he's now the top leader of this big company of 280-some thousand employees. So he's a humble man, and I learned a lot from him. And then other than that, I have other leaders who have mentored me as well and wrote very encouraging comments. Like this person is the CEO for the business side of our company, because there's the consumer side, there's the business side. And then he said that his thoughts and prayers are with my service mission to be fruitful. This person actually goes to the same church as me in Dallas. So very good to know he's a fellow Christian and he's a Hispanic. And then there's an Asian Indian American executive. He led our digital channel marketing on the business side. And he said, it's a blessing to know you. Wow, we love to have you here. The world needs you. So go forth and answer your calling, which is my topic next week. What is our calling? So we have our calling in work, in your study. We have our calling in the world. So he is so right. I have really enjoyed ministering for students from around the world. Over 1,000 students taking my classes from around the world. So it's been really amazing. So these executives almost wrote down some prophecy that truly became real. So the final example of another executive who's an African American, he actually is a good friend. He's the president, and he led our global and wholesale business. And he actually spoke at my Call to Work conference, and I'll tell you about it next week, what it's all about. So he is a very committed Christian, and his wife is actually a pastor, and we visited their church in Dallas as well. And that he said, oh, I'm speechless, but also very excited for you. I know God has bigger plan for you. So we're very thankful for this relationship. And then finally, this is the boss who gave me this big pleasant surprise in my retirement party, asking everyone to write across the username, and they are printed that they have pictures, all different celebration pictures and acrostics, and all these writings are in the book. So it was a beautiful memory book. And this boss said, by the way, I'm still in denial. I have such mixed emotion because I was leading the project for him, and he was so happy. Every morning he said, thank God, Elaine's leading this project. And yet he's not really a Christian. He has some exposure to Christianity, and I also share the gospel with him in a very unique situation. And yet he knows that I can expand my vision and impact more people. So again, they are so right. And that he said, I'm an effective leader and also a true gem as a person. So that is so encouraging. So these are examples. You've got all the glory. Wherever we are called, to school, for studying, to work, to serve other people, or at church, or at home. that we keep the same value and the same brand so that we can really shine for Jesus. Just like how these are the 6M that I learned in the last few decades, and I continue to practice. How can I live out these 6M in my work, in your school, in your family? The first M, can I ask a volunteer to read this 6M for me? And then we'll pause. The final person who would like to take the opportunity to read. Ming, can you help me call a person? Teacher Ming, can you call a student?
Okay, Nicole.
Nicole, okay, go ahead, Nicole.
Model
Bam.
godly character, make good work, IQ, AQ, XQ, minister grace and love, EQ, mold culture, LQ, mouthpiece for truth, justice, CQ, messenger of the gospel, HQ.
Thank you, Nicole. What grade are you?
6th grade.
6th grade. Oh, our 6th graders are shining. Thank you. So these are 6M, and I won't go into the detail, but you have an idea. This is how we want to work, how we live, that we can live up these 6M. There's a whole 12-week course to learn about these. Or actually, there's one that's coming up at the end of this year, AQ course for 8 weeks. So each one of them is a lot for us to learn and how to apply. And that's how I practice my Christian faith at work. So let me pause and ask if Teacher Ming will have any comments and thoughts.